Start. I'm outside right now. Start.
You are listening to Cool FM. Live from Cool Studios. This is Cool News at 4.
Good afternoon. This is koolNews at 4. Looking from outside of my house, I am Asker. Suspended Roma Mayor Alisco is still in the Philippines, her legal counsel Stephen David said on Tuesday. According to David, whether or not Guo could attend the Senate's hearing on Wednesday was still uncertain, as she was not okay. She's not okay right now, David said in a message to reporters. Yes, she is in the Philippines, he added. David added that Guo was physically and emotionally drained the that the backlash she received on social media was the reason for her possible non-attendance. 50-50 kung maka-attempt, he said. She is physically and emotionally drained sa daming ng cases ng hinaharap at sa daming ng personal attack sa kanya sa social media, plus traumatized sila sa treatment sa kanya ng Senate, he said. Recently, the Senate issued a subpoena to Guo and her family, ordering them to attend a Senate hearing on Wednesday. However, a letter from the Senate Office of the Sergeant at Arms dated July 4 said that the subpoenas were not served after a farm helper said that Guo had not visited their farm for several weeks. Senator Rizal likewise warned Guo of possible consequences, including an arrest if she refused to attend Senate hearings. At age 75, Galice Bua has lived through civil wars, famine, and natural disasters, but the Sordunganese widowed mother of four always managed to get by thanks to her grocery business. And yes, this is international news. Now, whenever even that standby is on shaky ground, as the all-dependent nation's economic reels from revenue losses following the rupture of a key pipeline in its war-torn neighbor Sudan in February. The damaged pipeline was crucial for transporting Sudan's great oil abroad, with petroleum exports traditionally accounting for about 90% of the impoverished country's GDP. The implications have been far-reaching, with inflation soaring as the value of the Sudanese pound relative to the US dollar plunges on the black market from 2,100 in March to 3,100 today. The official rate slipped from around 1,100 in February to nearly 1,550 this month. Since the 1970s up to now, I'm still here, but these days we are suffering. These are tough, Bua said as she dumbly tended to her stall at the Koyo market in the capital, Juba. We are unable to buy stock. Things are expensive, and prices keep rising every day, she said, compelling her to purchase supplies on credit. As wholesale costs shoot up, retail prices follow. A mug of maize sold by Bua was worth 800 Sudanese pounds in March, compared to 2,000 today, she said. Teddy Awali, a 28-year-old mother of two, said she was struggling to put food on the table, forcing her family to eat just one meal a day. You go to the market today, you get a price, and tomorrow you go back and you get a different price. I had to return home without buying anything, Kaweye told AFP. Life is really very difficult. It is a common refrain across Juba's biggest market, where several traders told AFP they were racking up losses every day. Abdul Wahab Kawaki, a 61-year-old butcher, said his business was in crisis. A customer who used to buy 1 kilo is now taking half a kilo, and the one taking half a kilo now takes a quarter, and the one who was taking a quarter is not coming anymore, he said. The father of eight often loses money when he is unable to sell meat before it goes bad. Many of his fellow butchers have simply quit, unable to make ends meet, he said. Higher end businesses have also taken a hit. God Gunes, a 27-year-old entrepreneur, said her fashion boutique was losing customers. The more you increase prices for the items in the shop, the more you scare away clients, she told AFP. A pair of jeans that used to cost 25,000 Sudanese pounds in March now sells for 25,000, she said, adding that she needed to raise prices to be able to get enough money to order new stock. Even government officials are feeling the pinch. In May, Finance Minister Awo Daniel Chuang told Parliament that the government would struggle to pay salaries to lawmakers, military, police, civil servants, and other officials because of the shortfall in revenues. He said the country was losing about 70% of its oil revenues because of the pipeline rupture, which has affected exports of nearly blend crudes and dark blend crudes. The production is only from blocks 12, 14, and 58, which means there is only 30 to 35% of the oil that is flowing, he said. South Sudan was in crisis even before the pipeline shutdown, since shockwaves through its economy, with fears that long anticipated elections currently scheduled for December will be delayed. In addition to rampant corruption draining its coffers, with the ruling elite routinely accused of plunder, the country is very vulnerable to currency shocks because it imports nearly everything, including agricultural produce. The fighting is in Sudan between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces since April 2023 has only exacerbated the situation, analysts say. The conflict has killed tens of thousands of people, forced millions to flee, including over 700,000 to South Sudan, and pushed Sudan to the brink of famine. Economist and government advisor Abraham Malek Mamur told AFP that South Sudan, which declared independence from Sudan in 2011, needed to plan ahead to secure its future. Our country is suffering. We have less money, we have fewer services, and our security is a problem, he said, urging the government to build refineries and pipelines through the other nations. Sudan will never be the same again. Until we develop alternatives, we will be having issues, he warned. Two Vietnamese were arrested in Pasay on Tuesday morning for allegedly threatening a bar customer using their illegal possessed firearm, according to the Southern Police District. In a report, the SWD identified the foreigners by their aliases Van, age of 26, and Huang, age of 23. The two were apprehended along Roxas Boulevard in Barangay 76, Zone 10, around 3 a.m. Based on the investigation, police received a report from complainant Tru Ang, who also Vietnamese, saying that the two suspects threatened him by showing their gun while inside the bar. SPD said its Pasay Station Intelligence Section operatives and other personnel patrolling the area responded to the report and colored the suspects. Confiscated from them were a patrol loaded with 3 pieces of ammunition with no license to own and possess firearms, and one small sachet containing what suspected crystal meth or shabu worth 10,200 pesos. They are currently detained at the Pasay headquarters pending the filing of complaints against them. All right, and now for the business headlines. British energy giant BP on Tuesday said it would take a financial hit of up to $2 billion after recently announcing it planned to reduce oil refining in Germany. BP said upcoming second quarter results due at the end of July would include an impairment after tax of $1 to $2 billion. This includes charges relating to the ongoing review of our Gelsenkirchen refinery in Germany that was announced in March, BB said in a trading update. In reaction, BB's share price split 3.6% to 458 pence at the start of trading, making it the biggest faller of on London's top-tier FTSE 100 index, which opened slightly down overall. Senate President Francis Escudero on Tuesday said the heated exchange between Senator Nancy Binay and Senator Alan Peter Catiano during a recent hearing should not happen again. In a media briefing, Escudero said calmness should prevail between Binay and Catiano. Binay walked out of the Senate inquiry on the construction of the new Senate building up to training bars with Catiano. She also filed an active complaint against Catiano. What happened at the last hearing should not happen again. I hope calmness prevails between the two because the goal of this is simple to know and ensure that the expenses are accurate and to find ways to bring them down, as Curto said in Filipino. When asked if he should talk to Binay and Catiano, Escudero said the two lawmakers already know what to do and what to avoid. Escudero also said the Committee on Ethics, chaired by Senator Francis Tolentino, has a procedure for the complaint filed against Catiano. It depends on him, Tolentino, when he is going to organize the committee and schedule the hearing, but of course, his main goal before conducting any hearing is to make the two reconcile so it does not have to go through any hearing or decision by the Committee on Ethics. He added. And the National Economic and Development Authority, NEDA, on Tuesday said an estimated 40,000 to 140,000 workers may be negatively affected by the recent 35 pesos minimum wage hike in Metro Manila. According to Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, such an event may occur when small businesses or micro, small, and medium enterprises end up closing or reducing their personnel to abide by the new minimum wage. However, he also clarified, whoops, I think the full screen better just block the text. I will have to refresh that real quick. All right, let's continue. However, he also clarified that such projected figures are negligible, especially relative to the effects of higher rate adjustments. Adjustments, I mean, yeah. It could increase the unemployment rate, but again, it's a very negligible number, and it could reduce. I'm sorry, it could impact something like 40,000 to 140,000, depending on the region, but still, again, not as big as would expect if those were much higher. When asked if the projected figure indicated the number of Filipinos losing their jobs, Balisacan explained that it wasn't necessarily the case. This, he explained, because of the country's growing economy, which will be able to provide alternative jobs for people who may be affected by the increased minimum wage. New jobs open up in the economy, and our economy continues to grow at 6 to 7% this year, so that we will be accompanied by quite a lot of jobs, said Balisacan. Meanwhile, Labor Secretary Bienvenido Lagusma assured that the Department of Labor and Entertainment continues to closely monitor the possible impact of any wage adjustments. Any transformation or anything that happens in the place of work will result in some impact, whether positive or negative, explained Lagusma. It was in early June when the Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Board Wage Board approved the 35 peso increase to the minimum wage hike for private workers in Metro Manila in early June. The increase will bring the daily minimum wage in the region from 610 pesos to 645 pesos for the non-agriculture sector and from 570 pesos to 608 pesos for the agriculture sector, service and retail establishments employing 15 or fewer workers, and manufacturing establishments regularly employing less than 10 workers. All right, it is now 16 minutes after 4, and we will be right back for more headlines right here on Cool News at 4.
Iyang magtanong at hanapin ang
Welcome back to koolNews at 4. Vice President Sara Duterte on Tuesday said he praised for the success of the Department of Education's step at goal to foster optimal education for the Filipino youth. Duterte, the outgoing Education Secretary, made the pronouncement during the opening ceremony of Palarong Pambansa 2024 in Cebu City. We recognize the annual Palarong Pambansa as a tradition of the Department of Education that plays a deep and meaningful role in developing our students and preparing them for greater competitions in life, she said in Filipino. Alongside the opening of the 2024 Palarong Pambansa in Cebu City, today is my prayer and aspiration for the success of our goals to promote appropriate, timely, and quality education for the Filipino youth, she added. The Vice President also thanked teachers, coaches, parents, and the staff involved in the event. To our athletes, you will not go home as losers because your participation in our competitions is already a victory for each of you, she said. May you carry with you the lessons of friendship, discipline, perseverance, and resilience towards fulfilling your dreams, she added. Palarong Pambansa is an annual scholastic multi-sport event attended by the 17 DepEd Regional Athletic Associations and delegates. It opened on July 9 and will last until July 16. The Department of Health has received the sub-allotment release order for the remaining 27.4 billion pesos health emergency allowance for health care workers who served at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Health Secretary Teodoro Harbosa, in a televised interview on Tuesday, said that the release order will pave the way for the quicker release of the remaining allowance. Ang sub-allotment release order, ibig sabihin ay may budget na. So this week daw ilalabas. So sa palagay ko sa next week ay mantatanggap na ng ating mga region at healthcare workers natin, said Herbosa in a Radio 360 interview. He also clarified that this is the last batch of each A's to government-owned healthcare workers. Last Friday, the Department of Budget and Management announced the release of the remaining allowance. Health workers are entitled to the allowance for every month of service in which they have responded to a state of public health emergency according to Republic Act No. 11712. The allowance can range from 3,000 pesos for workers deployed in low-risk areas to 9,000 pesos for those deployed in high-risk areas. Now, as we get into the global headlines, well, we have some kind of bad news as Emmanuel Macron refused his prime minister's resignation on Monday as the president scrambled to maintain France's credibility after his snap election gamble failed to break political deadlock. The left-wing New Popular Front won most seats in Sunday's second-round parliamentary vote, defying votes to beat both Macron's centrist and Marine Le Pen's far-right national rally. But no group wields an outright majority and no obvious candidate for prime minister has emerged. Many in France were relieved by the outcome, with cheering crowds gathering in Paris to celebrate. But potentially divisive talks on forming a new government were just beginning 3 weeks before Paris hosts the Olympics. Prime Minister Gabriel Attal submitted his resignation to Macron, but was asked to remain in power in a caretaker capacity to see out the games and reassure the international community and the markets that France still has a government. Macron's office said he had thanked Attal for leading the centrist alliance in European and legislative elections and asked him to stay for the time being in order to ensure the stability of the country. In a sign of concern about the financial impact of a political crisis in the European Union's second-largest economy, business leaders group MINDEF urged any new government to offer clear and stable economic policy. Ratings agency S&P meanwhile warned that France's credit score would be under pressure if Paris does not reduce its sizable public deficit less than 2 months after its latest downgrade. The Paris Stock Exchange opened 0.49% down, rebounded, and then closed in negative territory as France digested the situation, unprecedented in recent history. International reaction was muted and mixed. France EU partners are relieved that Le Pen's Eurosceptic outfit will not come to power, where they could endanger future European integration and Western support for Ukraine. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz told reporters he was relieved and hoped that the president and the elected MPs will manage to bring about a constructive government. Moscow tried to mask its disappointment. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Russia would have preferred a win by the party, ready to make the efforts to restore our bilateral relationships, but now harbored neither hope nor particular illusion on this matter. In Paris Socialistic Party, leader Olivier Faure said the MFP's allied parties would choose a candidate to replace Attal either by consensus or a vote this week. But the debate on the left about cabinet names will be first. The biggest NFP component is the hard-left friends on board of firebrand Jean-Luc Mélenchon, a divisive figure who is an anathema to the right and center and has alienated many fellow leftists. Mélenchon on Monday evening told the LCI broadcaster his party had several candidates to suggest to lead government, appearing to exclude himself. The unprecedented situation is taking shape just as Macron is due to be out of the country for most of the week, taking part in the NATO summit in Washington. After they won the June 31st round of the elections by a clear margin, Sunday's results were a major disappointment for Le Pen's RN, despite boasting its biggest ever contingent in parliament. Macron's centric alliance will have thousands fewer members of parliament, but held up better than expected and could even end up in second when seat numbers are confirmed. The NFP, formed last month after Macron called snap elections, brought the previously divided Socialists, Greens, Communists, and LFI together. Projections and provisional results show that NFP will be the largest bloc in the new National Assembly with around 190 seats, Macron's alliance on around 160 seats, and the RN on about 140. No group is close to the 289 seats needed for an absolute majority. Only 1 week ago, some polls had indicated the RN could win just such an absolute majority, with Le Pen's 28-year-old Lieutenant Jordan Bardella becoming Prime Minister. Instead, he will remain a member of the European Parliament, taking the helm of a new far-right grouping in which the RN will be the largest member, alongside allies like Viktor Orban's nationalist Hungarian governing party, Fidesz, and Italy's League. In the French campaign, I take my share of responsibility as much for victory in the European elections as for Sunday's defeat, Bardella told reporters Monday. But time is on side, and we will keep working to convince the French people, he added, predicting a way that will bring the RN to power. In the other news now, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew into Moscow on Monday and warmly hugged President Vladimir Putin on a visit that treads a fine line between maintaining a long-standing relationship with Moscow and courting closer Western security ties. The visit is Modi's first since Russia launched its campaign in Ukraine and since he was returned to power last month as leader of the world's most populous country. After meeting Moscow's Indian community, Modi had an informal meeting with Putin at his residence at Novo Garyovo outside Moscow, where the leaders drank tea on a terrace, rode in a golf cart together, and visited stable. The Indian leader told Putin it was a moment of joy to visit and thanked him for planning that we chit-chat here this evening. Looking forward to our talks tomorrow as well, which will surely go a long way in further cementing the bonds of friendship between India and Russia, Modi later wrote on X, posting a photo of the leaders hugging. Moscow remains a key supplier of cut-price oil and weapons to India, but the Kremlin's isolation from the West and blooming friendship with Beijing have impacted its time-honored partnership with New Delhi. Western powers have in recent years also cultivated ties with India as a bulwark against China and its growing influence in the Asia-Pacific, while pressuring it to distance itself from Russia. Modi last visited Russia in 2019 and hosted Putin in New Delhi 2 years later, weeks before Russia began its offensive against Ukraine. India has shied away from explicit condemnation of Russia ever since and has abstained on United Nations resolutions censoring Moscow. But Russia's fight with Ukraine has also had a human cost for India. Now, New Delhi said in February that it was pushing the Kremlin to send back some of its citizens who had signed up for support jobs with the Russian military, following reports some were killed after being forced to fight in Ukraine. The United States on Monday urged Modi to make clear in his talks with Putin that any resolution to the conflict in Ukraine must be one that respects the UN Charter with respect to Ukraine's territorial integrity. Moscow's deepening ties with China have also been a cause for concern. Washington and the European Union accused China of selling components and equipment that have strengthened Russia's military industry, allegations that Beijing denies. China and India are intense rivals competing for strategic influence across South Asia. India is part of the so-called Quad grouping with the US, Japan, and Australia that positions itself against China's growing assertiveness in the Asia-Pacific region. And hundreds of Europeans touring the American West and adventurers from around the US are still being drawn to Death Valley National Park, even though the desolate region known as one of the Earth's hottest places is being punished by a dangerous heat wave, blamed for a motorcyclist dead over the weekend. French, Spanish, English, and Swiss tourists left their air-conditioned rental cars and motorhomes Monday to take photographs of the barren landscape so different than the snow-capped mountains and rolling green hills they know back home. American adventurers like the novelty of it, even as officials at the park in California warned visitors to stay safe. I was excited it was going to be this hot, said Drew Belt, a resident of Tupelo, Mississippi, who wanted to stop in that valley as the place boasting the lowest elevation in the U.S. on his way to climb California's Mountain Whitney, the highest peak in the lower 48 states. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, kind of like walking on Mars. Park Superintendent Mike Reynolds cautioned visitors in a statement that high heat like this can pose real threats to your health. The searing heat gripping large parts of the United States also led to record daily high temperatures in Oregon, where it is suspected to have caused 4 deaths in the Portland area. More than 146 million people around the U.S. were under heat alerts Monday, especially in western states. Dozens of locations in the West and Pacific Northwest tied or broke previous heat records over the weekend and are expected to keep going so into the week. The early U.S. heat wave came as the global temperature in June was record warm for the 13th straight month and marked the 12th straight month that the world was 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than pre-industrial times, the European Climate Service of Perneros said. And a court ruling could permit the construction of a new reservoir to feed the water-starved Panama Canal, but the project might take 6 years to build, the managers of the waterway said Monday. The Panama Canal has decreased the maximum number of ships traveling the waterway each day due to the drought that has reduced the supply of fresh water needed to operate the locks. For years, Panama has wanted to build another reservoir to supplement the main supply of water from Lake Gatun, but a 2006 regulation prohibited the waterway from expansion outside its traditional watershed. A recent ruling by Panama's Supreme Court allowed a reinterpretation of the boundaries, possibly clearing the way for work, Canal Administrator Rica Vascu said. The fact of having a defined watershed gives the Panama Canal a territorial assurance we did not have before, Vascu said. Authorities will still have to consult with and gain acceptance of the project from inhabitants of the new site around the Indio River Basin. There are approximately 12,000 people living in about 200 villages in the area. He said that when the estimated 1.6 billion peso project could start is going to depend in large measure on the work carried out with communities and inhabitants who live in the areas that could be affected. Ilya Espino, the assistant canal administrator, believes those talks could take 1.5 years. Construction could take
3 to 4 years. Not enough rain has fallen to feed the watershed system of rivers and brooks that fill the current reservoir system, whose waters in turn fill the locks that lift ships up over the terrain. The watershed also supplies fresh water to Panama City, home to about half the country's 4 million people. The cutback in canal traffic to 31 ships a day from the normal average of 36 to 38 has disrupted global shipping at a time when other major waterways are also having trouble. Attacks on ships in the Red Sea by Yemen's Houthi rebels have unraveled a key global trade route, forcing vessels into longer and more costly journeys around Africa. Alright, it is now 40 minutes before 5, and we will be right back for more headlines right here on koolNews at 4. worth of shabu was confiscated Monday from Bitcoin drug trafficker in Binangbong town in Rizal province. Members of the local police drug enforcement unit caught Van Dove after he sold 7,000 pesos worth of shabu to a foster buyer in a bypass operation at 9:43 p.m. in Barangay Bacasa. The police regional police 4A said in a report on Tuesday, July 9. Seized from Van Dove were at least 34 plastic sachets containing 170 grams of meth, worth about 101,156,000 in the dangerous drugs board evaluation. The operators also confiscated a motorcycle believed to have been used by Van Dove in his legal activities. Police tagged him as a high-value individual in the local drug trade. Authorities were tracking the source of the shabu. The Van Dove was detained at the local police jail and is facing charges of violating anti-drugs law. Yet to be discussed in the cabinet, the National Economic Development Authority, NEDA Secretary Arsanium Balisacan on Tuesday. Voila, none. We haven't really talked about it in the sense of, at the level of the economic managers, I'm not quite sure if there are other meetings, said Balisacan in a policy briefing on Tuesday. However, Balisacan for his part reinforced his sentiment of bringing against Pogos, stating that the government's attention should instead be focused on generating high-quality jobs. And nothing in creating government jobs is one of what I define as good jobs, because I think there are a lot of other opportunities for the country, for the economy, and for our workers, and we could focus on those, he said. Balisacan acknowledged that planning Pogos will result in significant revenue losses, but he also stressed that letting Pogos continue to operate required an even more significant social cost. It may be a big number, but the cost and particularly social costs of Pogos are quite high, and also we are trying to position our country as a legitimate place for business where we are trying to attract investors to come, tourists to come, so the least that we want is to have a reputation, not dito inyong mga criminals or having criminals in the country, he said. He also expressed optimism that the country can quickly recover its losses once it successfully generates high-quality jobs. Meanwhile, Labor Secretary Bienvenido Guzman said the Department of Labor and Employment DOLE has already finished profiling workers who may lose their jobs should the government decide to ban Pogos. The department previously projected around 22,000 job losses in Metro Manila should the government adopt proposals from lawmakers and other groups to close down Pogos. The profiling would look at anong klase ng skill ang kanilang ginagawa sa ngayon, anong klase interventions para align sila sa mga potential na trabaho na nilika batay doon sa mga investments na talagang materialize, explained the. He also mentioned upskilling and training programs for affected workers. Filipino about the effects of alcohol advertising on youth, according to a survey conducted by Vital Strategies Reset Alcohol Program. This survey, presented by Nadita Muro-Colta of Vital Strategies and press briefing on Tuesday, showed that Filipinos are highly alarmed about the status of alcoholism and its regulation in the country, particularly for the youth. 65% of Filipinos agree that alcohol is easy to buy, highlighting the need for stricter regulations on alcohol availability. 60% say that exposure to alcohol advertising encourages you to start alcohol use, Murukolta said. Additionally, most Filipino parents believe that their children's exposure to alcohol advertising can lead to negative behaviors. Murukolta added that 68% of Filipino parents and caregivers are extremely worried about the amount of alcohol advertising their child is exposed to, with 65% saying that alcohol advertising makes their child think that drinking alcohol is a desirable or glamorous behavior. Furthermore, she added that 72% of Filipino parents say that they are concerned about their child's potential alcohol use in the future, and 64% are already on guard on the availability of alcohol in social environment. This concern reflects the need for protective measures to safeguard young people and their futures in the Philippines, Burukolta said. According to Vital Strategies, Reset Alcohol brings together national government, civil society, researchers, and leaders in public health to implement World Health Organization best by policies, increasing taxation, regulating availability, and restricting the marketing of alcohol in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Last April, a report by the World Health Organization raised concerns about the alarming use of alcohol and e-cigarettes among youth aged 11, 13, and 15 in Europe, Central Asia, and Canada. The report found that for 15 years old, about 57% had drank alcohol at least once. For current use, defined as having drunk at least once in the last 30 days, 80% of 11-year-old boys were reported to have done so. WHO said that these findings reveal how available and normalized alcohol is and show that there is a need for better policy measures to protect children and young people from its harm. Whom she credited making her world a little brighter. Diaz gave a peek into some of their alone moments together as seen on her Instagram page on Tuesday, July 9. Happy birthday, Nancy, she addressed the 22-year-old actor, referring to his real name. Thank you for being my best friend. You make my world a little brighter when I'm with you, she added. Thank you for everything that you do, especially sa mga pagsakay sa mga trip ko. Fans then took to the comment section to greet the actors as well as express their admiration for the pair. Diaz and Fredalin are set to headline the upcoming film My Future You, which will be directed by Crisanto B. Aquino and produced by Regal Films. The love team will be starring in the project alongside Amira Mojlach, Christian Vasquez, Pee O'Hara, Bod G. Pascua, Marsus Magdirigal, Vince Larena, and Mosang, among others. Aside from their acting careers, Diaz and Fredalin also respectively reached another milestone in their studies as they both graduated from high school. Barbie Fortesa and David Lee co-star Arlene Mudlach revealed that she thought the two were actual real-life partners given their convincing on-screen symmetry. In her recent interview on Fast Talk with Boy and Buddha, Mudlach was asked about her experience working with Fortesa and Lee Ko in the movie That Kind of Love. Kinig-kinig ako pag ginagawa nila mga eksena nila sa totoo lang. And I didn't even know na they had their own partner, she shared. The walang hanggang actress said that she even asked the two if they were na nga that we did, nakamali-mali ako, kaya sabi ko sorry to all your partners. I just didn't know, she said. Sabi ko kayo na pa, ate meron yan mga partner, co-star Divine Akusina told her. Sorry naman, di ko alam. Kinikilig lang talaga ako when I see them together, she responded. In her recent interview, Fortesa revealed that she felt some sort of guilt over having to set aside her boyfriend actor Jack Robardo for her Barda Love team with Lila Ko. Nung na-busy and syempre nakarandam ako ng konti guilt towards him because I have to admit, hindi naman ito parang bago. I had to set him aside kasi nag-pick up ang Barda, she said. In 2023, Lee Luco admitted that she would court Fortesa if she was single. I like smart, go-getter na mga babae. And I like cute girls. Simple lang. I don't know si Barbie, so yeah, I'll court her. He said at the time. Lee Ko recently revealed that he's in a relationship without saying who's his partner. Meanwhile, Fortesa and Roberto marked their 7th year as a couple on May 20th. And Genie of Blackpink absolves Foreign Ministry telling AFP Tuesday, July 9, that it had received our former complaint. In the footage, uploaded as part of a live blog on YouTube for fans, but subsequently removed even as copies of it is spread across the internet, Genie appears to exhale fake smoke while a gravy of hair and makeup artists work closely on her face. Smoking cigarettes or vapes indoor is illegal in South Korea, and the footage triggered headlines and online outrage, with indoor smoking and Blackpink Genie becoming top trending topics on X in the sort. Controversies over Jennie's indoor smoking, exhaling smoke in the face of her staff, was the headline of the Yonhap news agency's on the incident, typical of the widespread reporting in Korean language media. One internet user claimed the incident likely happened in Italy's Capri, where Genie had been filming, and said they had requested that the South Korean embassy in Italy and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs prop the Blackpink star, the Korean Times reported. The user urged Seoul to request an investigation from the Italian authorities regarding Blackpink's Genie's indoor smoking incident and take strict action, the report said. South Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs told AFP on Tuesday that they had received a petition related to the incident. We will have right now. So here are the top stories. Alice Gould, the Philippines, is in classified threat. Caster at least 40 and international headlines. France is in limbo after Macron gamble deepens of 60% of Filipinos alarmed by alcohol's advertising effect on youth. And cabinet is yet to discuss focal ban, according to Net. And that is it for koolNews at 4. As always, you can send a news tip or feedback to us at tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. Until then, I am Asper, and we will see you later for more headlines at 6 p.m. Goodbye for now.